Small town. Damn, that's you strictly.
Ladies and gentlemen, as it turns out, the Chiefs are no longer undefeated. Alex Ovechkin chasing history, and we are back to give you the real in sports. As always, I'm your boy Small Town DP, your co-host live from Atlanta, joined by your host Wade Julian, live from New York City. You are now tuned into your number one sports talk show on the All Things Sports Network. Brought to you by Small Town Productions. Ticker up top. Brought to you by ESPN Bet. June. I know you had a lively weekend in New York City. How was it? How's the weather treating you? We're cooling down, man. Fall is here and winter is coming.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you. I had a good weekend. Got to celebrate a couple friends' birthdays Saturday night, and then got to go to my first Colts game. It was in MetLife Stadium. They played the Jets. This is the second Jets game I go to this year. It's my third time at MetLife, and I think each time was unique and different. I went on a Sunday night. I went on a Thursday. I went on a Monday night, and this here was a Sunday at 1 o'clock. You know, everybody was ready for this game, and it was supposed to be a Sunday night game. This was scheduled for a Week 11 Sunday night matchup: Anthony Richardson versus Aaron Rodgers. I guess a battle of the ARs. It ended up, you know, here we are, Week 11 of this season. Underperforming Jets versus the underperforming benched quarterback having Colts. And then I guess out of nowhere, Anthony Richardson's back up. And so he got the start. I had bought the ticket before he was named starter again after being benched. I wanted to go to the game regardless because I just haven't been to a Colts game, you know, in my whole life. And I had an opportunity in Miami in 2021. Carson Wentz was quarterbacking for us. Jonathan Taylor had a monster day, but I didn't want to spend my Sunday, doing all that. And so I passed. But it kind of bothers me a little bit that over those 3 years, I'm like, damn, I haven't been able to go to a Colts game ever and celebrate a win. We won in Miami. Would have been cool. Thankfully, we were able to come away with a win this weekend. I had a great time, seeing a lot of Colts fans in MetLife. I didn't think that we were going to travel as well as we did. It was pretty cool to see all the blue jerseys and sweaters and hoodies in the crowd. I saw fans from Germany coming to support the
That's
Colts.
dope.
Yeah, man. So it was a cool time, and I also was able to link my other homie there, who was with his girl, and we just had a good time. We made a good day out of it. So shout out to the Jets for being good hosts, and the fans being passionate fans. That I don't think the Jets. In my 2 times going to a Jets game, I didn't experience any type of like unruliness or anything. And I went versus the Bills, which is a divisional game, and then I also
Yeah.
went, this last week. I did. I gotta go look at my phone. I have a fight video. There was a fight that broke out as I left, and that was pretty, I guess, cherry on top moment for the fun part of it because it was just like, everybody's drunk at this time and whatever. You guys lost, so you're probably salty. But other than that, it was a great time, man. And as you mentioned, it's getting cooler. I'm gonna have to buy a heater because the room is getting too cold right now, bro. The winter is
Yeah.
coming. Word to GOT. How you been though? Everything good on your end?
Can't complain, can't call it, man. I'm doing great. Loving this second official fall that I'm experiencing. Weather's beautiful. Um, I haven't had a Monday loss or a lost Monday, call it Victory Monday. I haven't had a lost Monday in close to 365 days. That was a new experience. We'll get into that in a second. But to kick it off, I want to take it to Thursday night. We'll take it back real quick. We that was the last time that we saw each other before the Eagles and Commanders game. And hey, the Eagles took command in the NFC East is essentially what happened on Thursday night. Uh, Jalen Hurts scoring the go-ahead touchdown, Saquon Barkley scoring 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. It was close early, and then the Eagles pulled away. What did you take away from that game on Thursday night?
Honestly, bro, I think we got an MVP candidate in Saquon Barkley over there. Really, it's a game changer. He will really up it for you if you have to. And Philadelphia, the game was sloppy both ways. I think Jaden Daniels was sacked a few times, sacked for loss of 20 yards, 3 sacks. Hurst got sacked a couple times. Ended up going to the locker room or blue tent at least to check out a possible concussion. Um, back and forth in the first half. They weren't really scoring much. Suddenly it opened up. And Saquon Barkley was able to wear down that defense. And, man, I just think as good as the Commanders have been and as great as Jaden Daniels has, shown us he can be, right now the Eagles are still the team to beat in the NFC East. They're not going to – you can't say there's a team to beat in the NFC after the Lions put up a performance like this past week. Granted, it was Jacksonville, but, I mean, what an ass whooping. However, this Eagles team has to be, next in line in the NFC. And then after that, this isn't the conversation, but we're going to have to start talking about the parity in the league because it's very top-heavy right now, and we're not seeing a lot from everybody else. So –
Yep.
With Philly, I think they just showed another week that they're able to stay in tough games and win tough games as well. They missed 2 field goals and put them in a tough spot. And, Coach Sirianni, at this point, it's like he's kind of doing what he can, and he's shot himself in the foot and he's hurt the team. And we've talked about it. But when they win, and he's part of it, we got to give credit. And Sirianni coached them to a win through the ups and downs. They played a great divisional opponent. And guess what? They walked out of there with the victory. So, like I said, I think the biggest takeaway, though, was Saquon Barkley coming out of there with almost 150 yards, 50 yards on the ground. And Philly being able to really control the trenches and run for 280 on that defense, who is known for a horrible pass defense in Washington. They had some horrible run defense there. Let's not get too carried away. This is the best offensive line in the league with the best, or if not one of the 2-3 best running backs in the league. So shout out to Saquon Barkley, man. He's terrorized the Commanders for some time now, and this was just, I guess, another edition of that, just in a nicer jersey.
Yeah, I think we're ready to put the Sirianni discussion of, whatever was going on in the offseason away. Winning cures everything. And when you're looking at the stats, they are 8-2. And like I said, taking a commanding lead in the NFC. Let's take it over to Sunday. You yourself mentioned on Thursday night's pod, if there's any game to take the double-digit score run up, it's going to be in Detroit. And I'm not going to lie, for a second, I had to make sure I wasn't watching the Discovery Channel because it was ugly. I wasn't sure what was going on between the Lions and the Jaguars, but the Lions were up 40 and still chucking the ball 30 yards down the field. Dan Campbell not playing with y'all. Tell me about the grit and just the overpowering performance that the Lions put on.
1 second. Lions just scored again. That was Shout out to Dan Orlovsky, man, ESPN, bro. He did that today on NFL Live. I was watching it earlier. Everybody was confused in the studio. Like, what happened? He's like, I think the Lions just scored again. And it's just like, that to me summed up what we watched. I mean, JMO scored. You know, we saw Jahmyr Gibbs get explosive over there. And I love the asshole cockiness that's coming out of him. It's like this is such a long time coming for this franchise. They haven't had a team to dominate the league, you know, in what feels like forever. And they're here. They're here, and they're here to stay with this core. Goff, St. Brown, Hutchinson, you know, Gibbs, Montgomery, tight end. Forgive me, Hawkinson.
Hawkinson.
Yeah, I think that, yeah. No, Hawkinson went from Detroit to Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. They got Laporta, is it? I think they got Laporta. But that core that they have there, Brian Branch as well in there. I mean, dude, this team is gonna run the league for some time. And if this isn't the Super Bowl winner, it's going to come down to health because, you know, losing Alex Anzalone yesterday really, really hurts, especially in a game like this where you had the win, you know, in your back pocket and you're essentially just going out there style of points. It's not to say you go and bench players, right? This is a profession, but it's just unfortunate timing. The good news is that they're going to make the playoffs, you know, and they expect to have him back in about 6 to 8 weeks, which leads us into that, you know, first, second round of the playoffs. They'll have a bye. They're probably going to have that 1 seed and bye. So they need to buy all the time they can. But nonetheless, man, what they're able to do week in and week out, the confidence they're playing with, you know, Jared Goff coming through and finally just owning the number 1 pick of the draft, you know, swag. And then having a coach like Dan Campbell who kind of just lets his nuts hang every week.
Every week.
You know, it's got to give you the confidence and fuel you as a player if you're playing for that coach. So shout out to the Lions, man. To me, continue whatever you guys got going on. I don't think it's too much more than pounding that ball, play action, you know, and some great defense in there. That's kind of their MO. They don't do they got trick plays, but they don't do anything too special, you know, to beat you. They kind of show you, hey, we're gonna run this down the middle right here, see if you can stop it. And that's what great teams can do. So shout out to the Lions. And next week, I'm interested to see what they can do. Can that lead us into our next one? Because they got the Colts, and Anthony Richardson is back. EP, I went to this game yesterday, and I sat right there, 15th row in the end zone. Anthony Richardson scored his first touchdown back from 2 weeks, right in front of me. Did his little dance, went on to then score again on the other side in the fourth quarter with 46 seconds left. And that ultimately was the game-winning touchdown versus those Jets. So let's talk about what I saw at Lambeau Field yesterday.
At MetLife?
I was thinking legendary moments, you know, I'm dreaming here. At MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, MetLife.
From this Colts offense. I mean, we went from Joe Flacco being our starting quarterback and me kind of throwing the Colts jacket, if you remember that, and saying I'm not done with the team. It's my team for life. But I'm done at the moment as a fan being so invested and willing to cheer because this is not something I would enjoy cheering for. And the cries were loud throughout the Colts Nation fan base. I think the support and wavering support of Anthony Richardson was very loud. He heard it. I think the team in the front office heard the fans and what they wanted. And I think they heard it from their season ticket holders as well. And I'm not going to act like that didn't have anything to do with this decision because season ticket renewals were, I think, 2 days after the Anthony Richardson, you know, starting quarterback again news broke. So whatever it was, whether it was Jim Irsay that finally was convinced and said, you know what, Shane, go ahead and make the call. If you want to start Anthony, you can start him. However this went, because I was giving a lot of shit to front office and Coach Steichen. And I think that it was all deserved because the way they played this could have been all better. And essentially, we could be up a game as well because I think we win last week if Anthony Richardson is our quarterback, or in Minnesota, one of those games. And so, retrospect, hindsight, all that, whatever. We're here now. Anthony Richardson goes and plays his best game as a pro. We haven't seen this complete play from Anthony Richardson since. And as Colts fans, this is what we were all waiting for. One day we're gonna get it. And what we saw yesterday could be the start of a new thing in Indianapolis, because I think with the confidence he has, the teammates are behind him. You win on the road, you get your first game-winning drive, 70 yards down the field from 2 minutes to 46 seconds, and your defense then gets on the field and doesn't let Aaron Rodgers pull off any type of stunts, Hail Marys, or type of vintage outcomes. You got to be on that flight to Indianapolis like, yo, we can go win. We got Detroit next week. Let's take this energy and what we feel right now and just use that all week in practice. We're going to develop a game plan, which we're going to try to beat the best team in the league. And, hey, I'm obviously, as a fan, I'm going to root, I'm going to cheer, and I'm going to say we'll win. But I think this is just a great opportunity for Anthony Richardson and the Colts to, continue to grow this season through a very, very tough task. I think this is going to be, the best team we play on the calendar all year. And win or loss, you want to see progression, right? And that's what we're, as fans, looking for this season. We're still technically in the playoff, hunt. The AFC is very, very frail. And the bottom of that AFC looks like anybody here. The Dolphins are still alive, for God's sake, and they missed Tua for 4 weeks. So all that being said, we're still playing for a chance to compete, and we're very much in it. But fans in Indianapolis and those Colts fans around the country want to see progression. So if we lose to the Lions this coming Sunday, you know what? So be it. It's fucking tough, right? We expect to lose to the Detroit Lions, or at least the world does. Play free, play fun, and just try to continue to get better. Iron sharpens iron. That's one of the old sayings, right? And so the Lions, what better way to get better this week than to play the best in the league, right? And that's kind of how I'm looking at it, with the opportunity to continue to stack wins in an AFC that is 100% winnable. And the division, I don't think is winnable, because we did lose to the Texans 2 times this year. But the Texans have shown they've struggled. Nico Collins comes back tonight on Monday Night Football versus Cowboys, who are going to get blown out in their own home. But, it's still open. It's not wide open. It's still open. So for us to be here in middle of November, with the chance, and our starting quarterback is the number 4 pick of the draft, we love to see it. And I couldn't be more excited for the performance he gave us last night and how the team rallied around. So congrats to the Colts and Anthony Richardson specifically. On to the Lions. I think it's going to be really tough. But let's talk about the Jets real quick, EP. I got to ask you a couple things, because I'm sitting in there and I heard, the boos were crazy. The offense couldn't get a thing going for the first quarter, into the second quarter, damn near until the last drive before halftime where they scored. That's when the momentum started to shift again. I heard, put Tyrod Taylor in. I heard, this guy ruined our franchise. I heard, he's so old. He sucked. I heard the worst things about this guy who, we grew to love, this legend, Aaron Rodgers. The truth of the matter, is that he's not who he once was. A shell of himself would kind of still be a compliment. And it's bad. It's that bad. And the fans of New York and in New Jersey are super tired of it. They're done with the shit. And they have to deal with this, the Devontae Adams situation, and Hassan Reddick. Where do the Jets go from here?
I mean,
by the way, I don't think you have the answer.
I don't. Yeah, that's above me, man. That's one of those things that you can only imagine at this point. They can dig themselves out of this hole. This Aaron Rodgers experience, you gotta. It's time. I forgot what phrase was used around me recently, but it's time to pack it up. Essentially, it's you have to figure something out. You keep giving him more, and we're not gonna act like he's not, And you give him Nathaniel Hackett, who had success with him, it's not working. You give him
Yep.
Devontae Adams, it's not working. Like at some point, you know what I'm saying? The repetition without results is just insanity. You gotta do something else. I'm not saying necessarily get rid of him, but there has to be a change of culture. There has to be, a Sean Payton that needs to come in there, not specifically Sean Payton, but someone with the Sean Payton s personality to
Right.
set the tone and reset this entire culture because it's this year's dead, but you got to think about moving forward. I don't know where the Jets go. Hey, the Lions. Is it too early to say they're going to be NFC champions?
No, not at all. I think this team, out of all the 32 NFL teams, this is the team that has shown us week in and week out we're good on offense, we're good on defense, and we're good on special teams. We lost our best defensive player, and we filled that spot. Not to say that Zadarius Smith is the Aiden Hutchinson replacement or exact cure, but they're aware of what they need and how they need to attack. And
Yeah.
it seems to me week in and week out, Dan Campbell has his guys prepared with a great game plan, and they continue to win. So outside of the Chiefs, I mean, you asked me NFC specifically. I mean, Philly. We 2-3 weeks ago we're talking about their head coach like, yo, if they lose this game, we got to have that conversation. But they're figuring out, ways to win, and credit to them. However, 49ers, they're last in their division.
Yeah.
Cardinals are NFC West.
Yeah.
You look at the Packers and the Vikings, and the Vikings started off, amazing, but they've kind of came back down to earth. The Packers, as good as they are, and they're sitting at 7-3, they stole a win yesterday. A win is a win, but a stolen win nonetheless. I think they turned the ball over a little too much to trust, right? And so for me, Detroit plays sound football every week, and that's why I feel so comfortable saying that. Yeah, this is their year to win the NFC. I don't think they'll play San Francisco in a championship and blow a 14 to 17 point lead, and it'll start raining in the Bay out of nowhere.
Yeah, I want to kick it over to the chat. Shout out to Ray in there, Xavier Wilson in there, Breeze in there as well.
Yo.
Giving you a little shot. He said entirely too much Colts talk for the real teams that play yesterday. I don't know where that's coming from, where the hate is coming from. June's a good guy, but you know what, Breeze? We will get to this Pittsburgh game because it seems that Lamar Jackson can just not beat Mike Tomlin. Tell me about this hold that the Steelers team has on this Ravens squad right now, June.
It's that defense, bro. That defense is no joke, and every time the Ravens play the Steelers, there seems to be some sort of, man, if we didn't throw that pick or, if we didn't make that, if we didn't fumble or not convert on that fourth down, it's always something. And Lamar Jackson's post game, what he says, he's like, man, this shit is annoying. He sounded like a little brother to the Steelers last night, where it's like, bro, I can't figure it out. Like we've done Todd Monken, we've done Greg Roman, we've had Derrick Henry, we've had fucking buddy from the Chargers. I forgot his name. Forgive me, bro, from Ohio State. But you know what I'm saying, J.K. Dobbins. So I'm like, yo, any type of rendition of this Steelers-Ravens matchup in the Lamar Jackson era, it just don't work.
Yeah.
It don't work. And so I will say this, and Lamar Jackson don't strike me to be the type of guy that like wavers too much on like, what's going on outside. But I do think this is similar to like Colts can't win in Jacksonville. There's a little mental hill that he can't overcome when it comes to Pittsburgh Steelers week. Like we're gonna see his redemption. We're gonna see his response in a few weeks here when they play them again in Baltimore. But from the offense to go from what it looks like on a week in, week out basis to what it looks like Pittsburgh week, and it's a credit to Pittsburgh. This isn't a Ravens can't play, Ravens. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers know how to play this Ravens team. They dial up a game plan, and now they have a quarterback who can actually put points up on the board for them. And let me say this. It starts with the turnovers, right? I think that if they don't turn the ball over, 3 times or so, and then miss 2 field goals, we're looking at a total different game. So it's not a, if they did it, it's cut. No, but this is why they lost. Now, the good thing about the 3 turnovers and the 2 missed field goals is that they lost by 2 points, right? The Steelers couldn't get much going on offense themselves, but when it's this close and you say, okay, you know what? I mean, we could have won if Justin Tucker makes both of those field goals, or we could have won if that interception doesn't happen, or if Rashad Bateman, or not, excuse me, Bateman, if Zay Flowers is able to make a play on a fade route on the right, or if fucking sorry ass Deontay Johnson can catch the ball, they got a walking touchdown. There's a lot of shit that they left on the field there. Zay Flowers seems like he has a big drop every week at this point. But yeah, I just think that Mike Tomlin understands, one, the importance of this game, and two, who he's going against and how to beat Lamar Jackson. I think he has like the Krabby Patty. You're muted up for some odd reason. I can't hear you, but I think he has that Krabby Patty secret formula. And Breeze, it's a whole lot of winning going on with Anthony Richardson. So watch it, bro. We got EP back? We don't. I'm going to hold it down real quick because I got a little bit more to say on this Lamar Jackson. Breeze said, talk about it. Take that shit back to Broward. Xavier said Lamar Jackson is the James Harden of the NFL. Amazing through regular season and has a no-show in the postseason. Now, no-show is a stretch because we gotta take, give credit to how he played last year in the AFC Championship and how he was able to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. And who was it that fumbled the ball to lose them the game? Zay Flowers. So I know you could look at me and say, well, just last year. What about the years before? What about the year before? Yeah, I'll give you that. How about this? Lamar Jackson was drafted in 2018. You know what I'm saying? And wait till January, and we'll talk about that James Harden comparison again. Because I feel it, but I feel like you try and be a little disrespectful with it, and I don't agree with that. So I'm gonna just say, let's wait till January. We'll see what these playoffs bring, and then ultimately also who wins this division. Because to me, you got to put it all on the line when you play the Steelers team in Baltimore. You lose that game, that's tough. Do we have EP back? Let me double check. I think we're going through some technical difficulties. It's cool though. But we're gonna go into KC Buffalo, man. Kansas City was supposed to come out of there with the magic, right? They were supposed to come out of there 10-0. They haven't lost since Christmas Day last year. Hey, Josh Allen though. Josh Allen, EP. I'm kind of glad he's silent for this one. He's not. He. Don't worry, bro. And I hope that for everybody listening right now, y'all see how this works. Chiefs lose, his mic don't work now. His mic now, he can't speak about it. Look, man, the black magic runs deep, and not just on the football field, but even through the All Things Sports Network. It's pretty crazy. But let's talk about Josh Allen, man. Outrunning everybody, putting the team on his back, and getting the 4th and 2 conversion to go into the end zone on a long touchdown run, put the game away, and then they get the game-winning interception. Bernard picks off Mahomes. Mahomes, EP, by facial expression, can you agree here that Mahomes is struggling this year, right? And you guys are winning games not by the savior he can be. It's the defense has led most of it, but Mahomes has struggled mightily, and he's just not seeing it, the same way it looks as he has in years past. And Josh Allen might be the MVP of the league. That's kind of what last night's game told me. Watching Saquon on Thursday, I get the same vibes. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, as much as I want to crown Lamar Jackson his 3rd MVP, or give Derrick Henry, the 30-year-old running back who Dallas didn't want, an MVP. And let me just jump back into Ravens real quick, because 4 carries for Lamar Jackson is fucking crazy. Derrick Henry getting less than 15 touches, 20 touches against the Steelers is crazy. So they're not showing up in the biggest games of their season. Josh Allen has stepped up in every single game this season and has given his team a chance to fight and to win week in and week out. Right now, I got Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Lamar Jackson going into the MVP race. And I wish I had EP's thoughts on this Chiefs game. I don't have too much more as far as what they were able to do and what they weren't able to do offensively, because guess what? They lost one game. Who gives a shit, right? They can beat the Bills in Buffalo. We've seen that in the playoffs. This was more a big game for Buffalo than it was a big game for the Chiefs. And Josh Allen came out after the game and was like, this is just the ninth win of our season. And super, super mature. Super, super mature. But he knows what's real. He knows that this was a playoff game. He knows that this was, the start of greatness for the Bills, or what can be. And he went out and handled business. So shout out to Josh Allen. Shout out to the Bills and their defense for containing Patrick Mahomes. But next week, it looks like you guys are getting Pacheco back from IR. So who do you guys play next week? Let me double check on that. Chiefs got... Ba-dum-bum-bum. Oh, man. They got the Panthers and the Raiders. They back. Hey, Chiefs are all the way back, baby. So they're going to go 2-0 versus the Panthers and the Raiders. But then you guys got, here it is, Sunday Night Football at home against the Los Angeles Chargers. And EP, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to figure this one out, but I'll just kind of keep rolling right now. The Chargers last night, they look good. Right? They gave up a lead, and we almost saw the Chargers in the playoffs a couple years ago, right? We almost saw that repeat, how they lost to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars after a minute. But EP says the real sunshine is back. Trevor Lawrence, no. Justin Herbert, yes. Man, I got to give a lot of credit to Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And first and foremost, this is, if there was an MVP duo, if they had like superlatives for like best duo in the league, this is the best duo in the league. And I think that Jamar Chase is definitely wide receiver 1B. Right, Justin Jefferson gets the edge to me because, one, we see the stats. Right, he's a little better. But as far as the consistency goes, Joe Burrow's throwing the ball to Chase. Right, Justin Jefferson doesn't necessarily have that Joe Burrow, with him. He's played with Kirk Cousins. Shout out to Kirk Cousins, knows how to throw the ball, but it's Kirk Cousins. Sam Darnold, right? The production hasn't stopped for Justin Jefferson. But what Jamar Chase has been able to do in the last, first 4 years of his career has been nothing short of greatness, man. And so for them to go out week in, week out, and can't figure out how to stop a fucking pass, I would like to see Zach Taylor fire somebody. I don't know I'm going to check when their bye week is, because to me that would be the point of the season where the Bengals kind of, unless they already passed their bye, that would kind of suck. But that to me would be the point of the season where the Bengals have to sit there and say, let's evaluate, because what are we doing? I mean, they got the Steelers on the 1st. So this is their bye week. The Bengals got a bye week now. I think Zach Taylor has to cut ways with that defensive coordinator. I mean, they've lost so many games, given up so many leads. And we saw Thursday night. We saw the game of the week last week versus the Ravens on Thursday night, and they gave up, that touchdown late. Couldn't get the 2-point conversion, in overtime. Last night, they come back from 27-7, tied up 27. McPherson, I mean, this was one of the best kickers in the league 3 years ago. They've lost, I think, 4 games this season due to their kicking. And this might be the kicker as far as why their defense coordinator retains his job. Because Evan McPherson missed a game winner early on. I don't remember exactly what week it was. Then he missed the game winner versus the Ravens. Ravens, first time they played him in Cincinnati. Then he misses yesterday. I mean, how many times is a kicker going to cost you a game? Right? And so, I don't know, man. To me, with Cincinnati, losing Joe Mixon really hurts. And we're not talking about it a lot. But Chase Brown, you can give him credit. You give him credit. But he ain't really changing the game. What Joe Mixon's able to do for CJ Stroud every week. Yeah. That's what the quarterback needs. And Joe Burrow is not Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow is not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. And so for him, you can't expect that. You can't expect that he's going to be able to move the ball downfield just throwing 50 times a game. Defenses can catch up to that. And thankfully for him, he has one of the best receivers in the game. However, you need a running game to help balance the offense. And losing Joe Mixon to me was just too big of a gut punch. And that defense, all they have back there is Trey Hendrickson. That's really all they got. You got a couple linebackers, I guess, but that defensive backfield is pitiful. They have played no good football this year. So, it's just pretty sad to see that after last week, Jamar Chase in the post-game conference is like, I never in my life would have dreamed that Joe Burrow and I would get to play together, put up these numbers in a loss. And now this week, they're asking him about the defense and about what needs to, and he says he did the Micah Parsons, but Micah Parsons, as Michael Parsons said, it's above my pay grade, then went on to answer the question. He said, you guys got to go ask the coaches. Y'all got to go ask the coaches because I'm just catching the ball. I'm just making plays on offense. That's all I am. So, and to me, that's not a throwing your coaches under the bus answer. That's not a locker room cancer answer. No, that's brutal honesty from the superstar player, best player on your team, being as frank as possible in the midst of a contract situation that he's been dealing with. Because I think he's been super mature as far as how he's handled the money situation. He could be like, you know what, bro, we 4-7. I ain't playing for shit this year. I shouldn't even play one more snap until we figure out my contract. Fuck around and get hurt. But at the same time, I think Jamar Chase understands his value in this league, his productivity, and what he's been able to do for this franchise, that no matter what, if he was to, God forbid, get injured tonight, tomorrow, or next week, it would be a guarantee that the Bengals have to pay him or open up the checkbook for him because they're going to see what it is without Jamar Chase, and but yeah, it just sucks that they could be so productive. Joe Burrow is playing essentially, MVP-like season, and it's going to shit because their defense can't stop a nosebleed. But look, the Bengals, I think if Breeze is still watching, I'm not even sure if he's still watching, I think he would agree that we spend entirely too much time talking about that team. I know EP definitely agrees. But let's go to the chat real quick. Breeze said he's not falling for the swindle with KC. Paid ref number 3 is in the chat. $500 pass interference, $250 holding. I accept Cash App, PayPal, Zelle. Lock in your penalties before game time. This is pretty cool. And I paid ref, if you still here, I'm going to find you and I'm going to investigate. I ain't going to snitch because this is pretty cool to me. I just need to know what the hell this is. And Breeze, if you can, do some research here because we got to know who we're sending this money to and if these penalties are guaranteed, because we got the Lions next week. As a Colts fan, I'll take a couple roughing the passer calls and let's call it holding in the fourth quarter. I got $12.50 for you. You feel me? Nah. Let's talk about tonight's matchup though. It's Monday Night Football, ESPN, and we got an underwhelming game here. I think this is one of those games that if you're a gambling man, you could probably try to take advantage of. Writing is a bit on the wall with what might happen tonight. The Cowboys can't win at home. They haven't won at home all season, and they're being outscored this season in AT&T Stadium by 94 points. In fact, haven't scored a touchdown in AT&T Stadium since I want to say week 3. Pretty fucking crazy. We're in week 11 now, and the Cowboys have just been dominated week in and week out. Cooper Rush getting the start again as Dak Prescott is nursing that hamstring. They say it fell off the bone, right? And so he's out for the rest of the year. CeeDee Lamb dealing with an injury. He's gonna be available. Mike McCarthy expects. What do I see out of this game? Obviously, for the Cowboys, it doesn't matter because their season's over. But for the Texans, I want to see a dominating performance. This is a team that we hyped up very much this offseason. They went out and signed Joe Mixon. They went out and traded for Stephon Diggs. They went out and signed Danielle Hunter on the defensive end. They got a lot of players. This game versus the Cowboys is a game you have to win. And it's a game you should dominate. I think it'll be telling where they're at in their season, Houston, for me, by the way they play this game tonight. Because CJ Stroud should be in midseason form right now. Unfortunately, I think it got caught up in the injuries, right? And his offensive line went down, his receivers went down, and everything kind of just collapsed literally around him at a bad time. So he's still trying to find that flow. It's not going to help with Micah Parsons trying to get to him all night. But they are clearly the better team. They are certainly the best team in Texas. And this is a prideful win right here. This is a prideful game. Like Houston versus Dallas, right? In Jerry's world. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, this is Dallas's game to lose, right? That's the narrative of it. The script has flipped. And I also think teams are out there to embarrass Jerry Jones a little bit. I think there's a little bit of that there. Like, we're going into their crib. We're not going to be the team, first of all, to be the loss in AT&T Stadium. They ain't even win there. How are we going to lose there? So I think there's some of that, and then there's some of the Jerry Jones factor. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the better team winning the game. And the Cowboys this year, unfortunately, just aren't a good team. They are a bottom team in this league. And at this point, they should be playing for that draft pick and for the long game, the future. They got a lot of contract shit they got to figure out this offseason. They're going to be in a hole next season. So health is going to be their best friend. And hopefully, maybe another GM out there that wants to make a trade with them for something. But I don't know. I got the Texans covering the spread. I think this is a 2-possession win. The Cowboys haven't won all season again. I'll say it in AT&T Stadium, and they're getting blown out. They're playing their worst football at home. Thankfully for CeeDee Lamb, it's a night game. There will be no sun issues, no glare issues, so we don't got to worry about that. But I mean, if Cooper Rush looks anything like he did versus Philadelphia, pack it up. Just pack it up. So. EP, you still dealing with them things over there? Still dealing with that? All right, I don't want to keep you here too long. Breeze, I appreciate you for sticking around. You know what I'm saying? He said they have not won a home game. They have not. No, they have not. Jimmy Butler. Let me just kind of go here real quick. Jimmy Butler is returning tonight versus the Philadelphia 76ers. This will be Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martin's return to Miami. Shout out to them boys, right? They made a finals run with us and did a lot of good for us. They're not getting a tribute video. Thank you, Pat Riley. Thank you. Because Caleb Martin could have got $65 million from us, and he didn't. So he deserves a tribute video for that. But uh, Jimmy Butler, man, in his return tonight, no Embiid. I need to see him be aggressive. Like, I need to see the best Jimmy Butler of 2024 tonight. Like, Jaime Jaquez just went down with an ankle as you come back with an ankle. Terry Rozier is playing terrible ball. And Tyler Hero is the one shining light. The one shining light. Tyler Hero is averaging 26 a game this month. Balling. Balling. We haven't had a 26 per game scorer on this Heat team since LeBron James. Shout out to Tyler Hero, bro. Doing it for real. But he can't do it alone. Bam Adebayo is slowly starting to come along, right? I'll give him, as Breeze calls it, the Olympic, the Olympic slump. He was in where was the Olympics? Where was the Olympics? France. Where was it? Paris, right? In Paris. He was in France. But nah, we gotta buckle down, man. We're in November here, and it's still super early in the season, but these are wins, that you look back on later in the season. It's like, we were healthy, man. We could have won that game. We should have won that game. No Embiid. Take advantage of the opportunity is what I'm saying. And Jimmy Butler has to set a tone tonight to be aggressive. He said he was going to be aggressive. He wasn't going to play some of the games this season and coast through the year. It's a contract year. I need to see the best version of Jimmy Butler tonight. As far as much else on the NBA world, I know the Knicks are up and down, but they've been pretty good for the most part. Karl Anthony Towns had a good night last night versus Brooklyn. They've got a back-to-back tonight. They play Washington. I mean, the NBA is going to give you a back-to-back. Thankfully, it's versus Brooklyn and Washington, right? So yeah, I think what the Knicks have been able to do has been good, but it hasn't been what they want. Like, I think that they still got a lot to figure out with the new, lineup and chemistry. Jalen Brunson getting his guys involved or taking all the shots. Breeze will have more on that on the Knicks on one tomorrow after they win. So shout out to Sean, Breeze, Brill, Mora on Knicks on one. If you're on Twitter, go follow I Hate Sean, or is it just Breeze? I Hate Sean will get it done. He's hosting the space tomorrow. And it might be post-game pouting. Who knows? But follow my boys. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you if you're listening to the podcast right now. EP's letting me know seconds ago that Cooper Flagg had back-to-back turnovers in that loss to Kentucky. And we didn't talk about it. But, man, I don't want to say the moment was too big for him because I don't think that's what it was. But I'll say this. Cooper Flagg, work on your handles. That if I seen one issue with your game, it's the handles. Work on your handles, and in crunch time, possess the ball with more pride. Don't let them boys just take that. Like, come on. That was sad. I'm not gonna lie. We watched that game, and it went from we got it to slipping away and now back to back we can't even put up a shot. So. We do want to see them clean that up. Cooper Flagg specifically, he's 18 years old, true freshman. He's going to have a great year. He's going to play great in the tournament. But we do need to, tighten up some things. And I think ball handling is at the top of that list. Shout out to Duke, man. Shout out to Kyan Anthony, right? Going to Syracuse, committing to Syracuse on his father's podcast. I mean, full circle moments like that. This is things I can appreciate. Like Carmelo Anthony being the fuck who he is. You know what I'm saying? Olympic gold medalist, right? Syracuse national champion as a true freshman, 2001. Knicks legend, New York legend, Baltimore native, Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? Just like stand-up guy. Fucking dates Lala. Nigga, Lala. Lala's his BM. What is we talking about? We gotta put some respect on Melo's name. Dropped like 47 points on Nigeria in the Olympics with like 27 3-pointers. And now he got his son on his podcast committing to the school he once went to. That's some dope boy shit, man. That's some dope boy shit. So shout out to Melo. Shout out to Kyan. EP hit me with one more. Amanda Serrano Serrano fought. That was the co-main event to the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight. He told me don't bring up the Tyson fight. I'll say this: Amanda Serrano. From what I saw, I walked in probably with about 3 or 4 rounds to go. They were fighting their ass off, and I give credit. I think the girl's name was Taylor. I forgot her last name. I think her name was Taylor. She fought her ass off. Like, one thing I'll give her credit for was not quitting and not stopping throwing punches, because it looked like she was losing the fight for sure, and she was getting mollywopped here and there, but she was throwing punches until the last second. And Serrano's face told a story. You know what I'm saying? She was fucked up over there too. Now, headbutts, right? There was some headbutts that there was an issue with, and so all in all, Serrano was robbed. We hate to see it, but Tyson wasn't robbed. Tyson. I think if anybody was robbed, it was the paying customers. If you paid for Netflix or the pay-per-view, however the hell you paid to watch that fight, horrible. And I think that Netflix should do away with boxing or sports in general. We got Christmas on Netflix coming up. I'm pretty nervous, EP, because your Chiefs are they got a win me game. I think they play like a sorry-ass team anyways. But if we can't watch it, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? What's the point? Why did I ask? I haven't spoken to her in a year and a half, and I hit her up for her password. She gave it to me with attitude, and the shit don't even work. So, tighten up, Netflix. Hey, special shout out right here goes to one, Anthony Richardson, obviously coming back, having a career game. But shout out to Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix putting up Rookie of the Year numbers. Threw for 4 touchdowns, killed the Atlanta Falcons. You know what I'm saying? Total domination. And guess what? Denver, Indianapolis, that's a matchup that's coming up in a couple weeks here. More than a couple. What's more than a couple? A few. We've got Denver coming up on the schedule, I think in week 16 here. 1 second. Yeah, week 15. It's a 4:25 game in Denver. It's going to be cold. December 15th. The Broncos currently hold the last spot, 7th seed in the AFC with 5. Is it 5 or did they get 6 now? They're at 6 wins now. That's the team to beat for Indianapolis week 15. Well, obviously, we got to win games leading up until that point, but we got a favorable schedule. Lions coming up this week. After that, it gets a bit easier. We beat Denver, man, and clinched that 7th seed. I mean, it's up. It's up. So shout out to Bo Nix, man, putting out a fucking crazy stat line. And shout out to Joe Burrow, man, leading the league in passing. 3,028 yards, 24 touchdowns. Can't get a win. All right. This was your Monday edition of the All Things Sports Podcast. I'm your co-host, Julian. That's my co-host, Small Town EP. We apologize for any type of shortcomings or, miss whatever the fucks you call them. But he's going to be back next week, and he's going to talk about the one loss on that Chiefs record, because we don't know if we're going to see them lose again. I said this. The schedule is pretty favorable. And if the Chiefs lose this game, hey, they probably don't lose again. But this was the All Things Sports Podcast. Go watch Monday Night Football.